Thank you for having me. It's a privilege.
So tell me, what have been your biggest lessons learned from having a suicidal child?
Okay, so I would say right off the bat, it is the unintentional use of language, like our unintentional harm that we cause in our everyday language. I don't think I ever realized how powerful the way we say things impact our kids.
No, it's a big deal because how we talk to our children, it affects them in ways that we don't really get. If you got to think back to your own childhood and how your parents used to talk to you. And some of our parents, we are running too much of a dictatorship, and that could be really, really harmful on our children. And it's hard. It's hard to let go of some control and not do that, but watching how we say things, it can really affect a child in huge, huge ways. What are some of the biggest concerns that you have with children that you have seen throughout your work?
So I've been fortunate because I get to speak and I work with a wide range of ages. And they all share a lot of insight. And a couple big things that always keep me driven is our kids are afraid to speak up. They're afraid to share their thoughts. And it's because the generalized comment that comes across is they're afraid of being punished and considered disrespectful. And I really started asking more questions to understand like why they feel that way. And it's because as parents, I feel oftentimes we're always trying to do what's best. We're never intentionally trying to shut them down or control the conversation. But what I feel is when the kids express, when they try to talk to us, we just don't listen. Instead, we intervene with our own perspective, or we control the conversation. Whereas if they're sharing an idea or something they think and we don't approve or we don't like it, we will say, no, not like that, like this. No, that's not true. That's not right. And the kids never get a chance or feel validated for what they think or how they think.
That is great. And you know what? That just goes right back to that unconscious dictatorship that we're trying to do as parents, as controlling. We think that, wow, I've been through that and I know and I'm wiser. And so I want to help you. So we unconsciously talk over our children, and in the end, what that ends up doing is makes them feel like they're not being heard. It makes them feel belittled. It makes them feel like, you know what, they are not hearing me at all. So my suggestion for our parents who are listening right now is to use a lot of I language. And
Yes.
I would suggest that actually for the child too. When you want to communicate something, it's so good to use I language. And what I mean by that, for those of you who aren't familiar with I language, is you're going to say, I feel like this, or when you do this, it makes me feel like this. It's not a blaming where you're pointing fingers. It's more of a way of speaking that is, it focuses on yourself and not on the person there. So there's no blame. You're saying, when this happens, it makes me feel like this. And it just puts the focus right back onto the person. How can these kids explain and get their voice heard so that their parents will listen?
Well, here's the cool thing too. And what you just said, I use a lot. I statements, me statements. And here's the clincher for parents is we have to be willing to be okay with what they feel and say. And sometimes it stinks to hear your child tell you they feel worthless or belittled, or they don't like the way you speak or the way that you act. And sometimes what I see when I'm working with parents is we automatically get defensive. But in this case, and especially being home right now with your kids, it's a beautiful opportunity to learn to embrace that and actually allow yourself just to take it for a minute and think about it. How could this person be seeing me like this? Is it true?
And I'm going to encourage parents during this time of social isolation, when we are with our children a lot more than probably we're used to, that we take this opportunity to really create trust with our kids, because your kid will not come to you if they are afraid that you're going to punish them. Just like you said, they will not come to you if they think that you're going to overreact. So this is now a great opportunity for us as parents to practice that. It doesn't matter what they're going to say, I'm going to not overreact. I'm going to hold it back. I'm going to hold back my tongue, because when you can set that as a precedent of, we all say, okay, you can tell me anything, or if you're in trouble, you can, but if you react the wrong way, your kid does not believe you. They don't. Those are just words. And as adults, we all know those people that are just words and not action. You need to be action here, especially if you have a child who is thinking of hurting themselves. You got to be that safe space. And that safe space means holding back your tongue, not overreacting, and being willing to sit there and just listen, even if all that stuff you're going to hear is just going to stab you in the heart. And this is the time. We are with our teenagers right now. This is the time to practice those skills and sit down with them and have those conversations and practice just listening.
Right.
Don't.
If I could add to that, is to validate their feelings, validate their thoughts. Even though it hurts us, it's okay. It's normal for the feeling. Even with my son, and when he was expressing all these tendencies and talking about why he wanted to die and why he wanted to end his life, man, it hurts to listen. But if I would have shut him down, I don't know what would have happened. So validation and knowing it's okay. And then the second thing is, when you start this, if this is new for you parents, be ready and open to receive anything and everything across the board, because the information that our kids are slammed with at school, the content, you might not even have an idea. But as your kids get comfortable and start speaking with you, they start dropping some big adult content that you might not be prepared to talk about, but just be willing to listen. And it's okay to not know. Mm-hmm. It's okay not to know, and then to work through it together.
Yeah. And I think that as parents, when we sit down and have these conversations, these really tough conversations with our teens right now, we got to be ready to hear, like I said, just about everything. And more importantly, we got to be ready to hear that we might be to blame also.
Yes.
And that we got to be ready that they may point some fingers right back at us. And that we can't go into the defensive mode. We have to really authentically listen to their point of view, to what is happening, why they think that way. Ask questions. Ask them questions. Why do you think that? What have I done? Please be specific with me. And then, take ownership for some of the things that we probably completely unintentionally did to make our kids feel in this way. And you apologize and say, man, I didn't know you felt that way. I'm so sorry that my action did that to you. That was not my intention. Please know I did not, that is not the place I was trying to come from. And just the parent admitting and saying, I hear you and I'm sorry for that, is super powerful to any child at any age. And I think it's really, really big.
Yeah. The other thing too, up until then, I was always that parent that I'm a strong person in general, but I always had to have it together. I always had appearance-wise, thought-wise, I never cried. I never really said a lot because I don't want them to see me stressed. I don't want them to see me worried. You want your kids to know you have it together. They don't have to worry. But the other thing I learned in this process is that he's grown more, both of my kids, and our relationship is better when I humanize myself. I don't have to be perfect. And I share my feelings, my emotions, what I'm dealing with. And then we navigate together because they're learning how to handle everything that they're dealing with. And these are life skills, and just because we're a parent doesn't mean we know it all, doesn't mean we're perfect, doesn't mean we can't just not know. And we can cry. We can be sad. We can tell them we don't know. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And that's a beautiful way for us to end today, because as parents, we are in a time where things are getting real for all of us. And we need to show our kids, lead by example, show them that it's okay to be, we're all frustrated right now with where we are, the state that we are in, and this virus that's trying to attack us apparently. But the rules that have been imposed upon us, none of us like it. And I think when we can relate with our kids, take responsibility, empathize, listen, it's going to go a long, long way. So Cassie, tell me, how can we support you through the Suicidal Child, and give us some more information about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So it was really interesting. I was asked to pitch my work for this book contest, and if it gets enough support and people feel this is an important content that needs to be shared, I will get picked up by a publisher, and they'll help me spread my word, my message, larger audiences, which is amazing because these are the conversations we need to be having. The work you're doing, the work I'm doing. Our kids are truly struggling. So I aim to bring to light just the real talk and real skills. I want to bridge the gap between a parent and the kid, that relationship, because I've had to learn. It was literally life or death for me. To support my book campaign, if you could click on the link that will be provided here, you can follow my campaign, you can spread the message, you can certainly pre-order. But if you know groups, if you have parent groups or educational groups, homeschool groups, anybody that this could possibly benefit, and not just parents or kids. The truth is suicidal tendencies are very common and very real, and we just need to have the conversations and help people see that it's never a valid option.
Yes, absolutely. Well, thank you. I appreciate all the work that you're doing and the awareness that you're bringing out to the world. We all need to hear it. So thank you again, Cassie, for coming on today.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.